The morphogenic field and the experiment 9 years prior that had dealt with it. How the experiment had taken place simultaneously at 2 locations, one being the ship and the other being a building in Nevada. How they played the nonary game. He told him everything. And finally, he told him how the girl had died during the experiment. Oh, she told you all that, did she? Snake looked down. His face was tight. A slight tremor shook his body, and he tried to hide it. He was putting on a good front, but even Junpei could tell he was holding back something deep and powerful. He made as if to brush something off from his face and looked up at Junpei. At any rate, I now know how much you've learned. All that remains is for us to determine who did this and why, right? Yes. Can you tell me what happened? Snake nodded slowly. The people who organized the initial experiment were from a company called Cradle Pharmaceutical. There were 4 of them running the show. Gentaro Hongu, Nagisa Nijisaki, Terukai Kubota, Kagechika Musashido. Ace. Hongu was the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals and Ace. Nijisaki was the right-hand man and did the lion's share of the planning, and he looks like the guy who got exploded in Snake's clothes. I mean, we did get to see a picture of him when Ace explained that, and he does look like him from what little we see. Kubota led the company's research and development division. He doesn't look familiar at all. Musashido was their majority stockholder. And he looks like the captain. Like Cap from the captain's room, the dead guy. The mustache and I guess sort of the facial structure looks the same, in my opinion. I could be wrong, of course. It was these 4 people who planned the initial experiment. Let me simplify it for you. Hongu designed it, Nijisaki put it all together, Kubota developed the technology required, and Musashido provided the cash. So it's Hongu, Nijisaki, Kubota, and Musashido. Junpei couldn't shake the sense that he had heard those 4 names somewhere before. Of course, more than 4 people were required to conduct an experiment of this scale. To that end, they organized a top-secret team to assist them with their research. All in all, they gathered 10 people or so. Those 10 completed their team, and they were able to begin the project. They named it the Nonary Project. The purpose of the experiment was to research the prospect of controlling a human mind through sheer will. The vessel, I suppose you could say, for this control was the morphogenic field. Why did the glycerin suddenly begin to crystallize? Why did the crystal structure of EDT undergo a sudden change? Why did the rats improve their puzzle-solving skills with each generation? We've learned of all of those different ones through just playing the game. Experiments with humans process the same results. The more people who knew the answer to a question, the more people there who could answer correctly without having seen the problem before. Why? How? The answer is that the shape of the answer has been stored in a field invisible to the naked eye. And through that field, the resonant event transmitted information related to that answer. That's essentially the idea behind morphogenic fields. But that's just a theory. A game theory! Sorry, I had to. It was necessary. Can't bring yourself to believe it? Not really. Let's say someone killed another person because the devil told them to do it. Whether the devil exists or not has no relevance to the murder. They believe the devil exists. Whether or not he does is immaterial. So what matters here is that Hongu believed in the morphogenic field. Snake nodded. But I still don't get it. You said they wanted to figure out how to control people. Right. That's what you were saying. Right? That's what you were saying? Yes. So how are they going to do that with the morphogenic field? I'll keep it simple. Let's suppose 10,000 people have solved a certain problem. The chance of you knowing that answer, even if no one has told you, will go up. Let's have another example, shall we? Say 1 million people were to do a handstand right now. Tomorrow the chances of you doing a handstand would be higher, even if you had heard nothing of this hypothetical mass handstanding. Mankind's thought process and actions are all part of a resonant event. All of the resonant events encoded in the fields are projected onto you. Of course, this assumes you believe the theory. Do you follow so far? Yeah. But let's say, hypothetically, that there was a person who had the same effect as those millions of people. What would happen? If that one person were to do a handstand, other people would find themselves wanting to do handstands as well. Can you imagine what a person with powers like that would be able to do? He'd be able to manipulate a mass amount of people to do his bidding, really. Come on, there's no way... I'm not done. Imagine another scenario. Imagine another person. This one, an ordinary person. Let's say he does a handstand. What if there was someone who could grab the resonant effect he created by doing that and use it to make other people do handstands? What would happen then? A person who has the power to write the field and someone who can read from the same. You could think of them as the writer and the reader, or the transmitter and the receiver. What would the world be like if there were people with abilities like these? Junpei thought about it for a moment. So the transmitter's resonant event can be transmitted through the field and sent to the receiver. And then the transmitter can control the receiver however they wish. That's what you're saying, right? Yes. Close enough, at least. Come on, that's just crazy. Well, if you want to prove that, then you'll have to test it first. At least that's how they thought. That's why they decided to do their experiment. That was how the Nonary project began. Snake suddenly looked very serious. Junpei, have you ever heard of the Gansfeld experiment? No, I haven't. Junpei shook his head. If you place a pair of subjects in separate rooms, then you show one a picture and ask the other what they see. In theory, it's supposed to test for the existence of telepathy. Oh. So why'd you bring up the Gansfeld experiment? It was used to screen subjects for the Nonary project. The hospital in a remote town was affiliated with Cradle Pharmaceuticals. Honggu used it to conduct experiments on visiting children in secret. Some of them, he found, had potential. He began to gather children that showed promise. Children that seemed as though they might be able to access the field. Of course, none of them volunteered. They were kidnapped. His face barely moved as he spoke. There were 9 pairs of siblings taken for the 18 children total. For reasons that were not fully understood at the time, each pair had 1 transmitter and 1 receiver. They were split perfectly. As such, the 18 children were split into 2 groups of 9. Children who were put in Group Q were the ones who excelled at transmitting. They were transferred to the mock experiment building, known as Building Q, in the Nevada desert. The children who excelled at receiving were put in Group A. The members of Group A were placed on the former hospital ship Gigantic. From the experiments he had conducted so far, Honggu had learned the following. There are 2 things that can increase one's resonance with the fields. The first is epiphany. The other is danger. Have you ever been faced with an especially difficult problem and thought about it very long and very hard until finally the answer suddenly appeared in your mind? It may seem obvious to say so, but that's what's meant by epiphany. The information obtained through that epiphany can be easily transmitted through the fields, where it can be easily interpreted. Adding danger to that equation allows for even easier field access. Therefore, Hongu set a number of puzzles across the Gigantic. The participants had to solve each puzzle before they could move on to the next room. Of course, he hadn't forgotten to include danger. More specifically, he had detonated a bomb on the hull of the Gigantic. The children in Group A were forced to play the nonary game as the ship sunk. By forcing the children into a life-or-death situation, Hongu hoped to increase the likelihood of their tapping into the fields. The children from Group Q, on the other hand, were confined to a mock experiment building, Building Q. Building Q duplicated the interior and puzzles of the Gigantic exactly. Hongu explained that the situation to the children in Group Q. Solve the puzzles you find throughout the rooms. When you solve them, transmit that information to the children in Group A. If you succeed, they will be able to solve the puzzles and escape. But if you fail, then the Gigantic will sink, and your brothers and sisters will drown. Do you know why the astronauts of the Apollo 13 were able to return to Earth safely? It was because NASA had access to a replica of the Apollo 13 capsule. All of the equipment and instruments, everything, all of it identical. NASA was able to replicate the situation the astronauts were facing by putting themselves in the same situation. They attempted to solve the problems they knew the astronauts were experiencing. Once they had found solutions, they reported their findings to the men aboard the actual capsule. That was how they were able to return safely. It was the same with the Gigantic and Building Q. The children from Group Q had to use the power of Epiphany to solve puzzles they found and transmit what they learned through the fields. The children in Group A, however, had to access the fields and learn how they might advance the next stage. That's the simplest explanation I can manage. Snake sounded defeated. His half-hearted attempt at derision served only to show how much the story had affected him. Just as Junpei was about to speak... Hey! Junpei! Snake! How much longer are you going to two sit around on those bony asses? Get down here already! Seven's voice echoed from below. Snake took a deep breath and blinked rapidly, as if just waking up from a long nap. He's right. Let's go, shall we? We don't have much time. We need to get out of here, and soon. Snake headed for the stairs, but Junpei pulled out an arm to stop him. Hold it. There's one more thing I want to ask you. Question mark? Are you sure that there were 18 kids? Why? Well, I thought it was only 16. Oh, yes, that was what they said on the news, wasn't it? Yes, I have no doubt that 18 children were abducted and used in Hongu's experiments. After all, you couldn't exactly play the nonary game with any less, could you? Well, yeah, but... Are you saying that the news got it wrong? Yes, I am. There were 2 more children. However, they had no relatives that I'm aware of. I imagine no one filed a police report when they were missing. They were brother and sister like Clover and I. The brother's name was Aoi. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but let's go with that. Aoi. The sister's name was... Her name was... Snake couldn't seem to bring himself to continue. It looked as if he was about to say, brought him great pain. Her name was Akane. It was the girl who died. Junpei felt as though he had been punched in the stomach. His vision went blurry, and his head felt light. He couldn't think straight. Everything was blank. Had Akane Kurashiki died 9 years ago? If she had, then who was June? No. No, that was impossible! It couldn't be true! Akane wasn't an uncommon name. If Snake had known her last name, then that would have been a different matter entirely. So they shared a name, There were many other people who did as well. It meant nothing. It was a different person. Of course it was a different person. It had to be. Junpei shook his head hard and pulled himself back to reality. Is something wrong, Junpei? Your breathing sounds strange. Then Snake had noticed. Junpei cleared his throat and tried to act calm. Oh, no, it's nothing. I'm fine. Let's get back down there, alright? Snake raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He headed down the stairs, Junpei bringing up the rear. He couldn't bring himself to ask. He told himself he knew the answer already, but he couldn't bring himself to ask what the girl's last name had been. With every step he took, the cold, hard sound of steel feet against metal dug at his heart. So, food for thought, I guess. Sheldrake, this is it! This is what the shadow picture was pointing to. But didn't it say 5 at the end of the shadow picture? Yes, I think we need to find the 5th volume. Well, would you look at that? There's a big red button behind this book. I guess we should press this button. Oh. Okay. What was that sound? It sounded like something really big was moving. It came from the top floor. Alright, let's go check it out. God damn it, I hate when I do that. But you don't let me skip that. There we go. Okay, now this. There's a keyboard in front of the numbers. And there are 4 Roman numerals on the wall. It's got to be a hint of some sort. 13, 14, 10, and 13. Those are all Roman numerals. Do you think we just need to put the numbers in the wall on the keyboard? No, you can't. The keyboard doesn't have any number keys. You can't type stuff in like 3 or 4. Sorry, that's Junpei. Then that means... Okay. Well, I bet you've got to type something on that keyboard. Yeah, but you can only enter letters. It looks like you only enter 4 letters. Let's see how it works. I guess you need to hit enter once you type in the letters. And you can erase what you type with clear. Okay, I get the basic operations. Let's give it a shot. Now I'm going to be honest here, and I'm a little embarrassed about this, but I completely forgot that hexadecimal was a thing entirely. As I was speeding through the story to try and get to the new thing quicker. But basically what you need to do is you need to remember that hexadecimal is a thing. And you need to transmit the Roman numerals first into numbers, 13, 14, 10, and 13, and figure out what they are in hexadecimal. 13 is D, 14 is E, 10 is A, and 13 is D for dead. Enter. Yay! You did it, Junpei! It's unlocked now! Good job, Junpei. Whoa there, don't get too excited. The password was dead, remember? Just makes me think whatever's waiting for us isn't good. So what? Jeez, you're such an old lady. We can't be worrying about stuff like that. I mean, come on. We got it unlocked, didn't we? Let's go. Hurry up. Alright. Alright, Handel. It's time we got this over with. Damn it! I can't get it open! This thing won't even budge! What? Why not? We put in the password, what else do we have to do? Then that means... It's the other door! I don't get why they even put 2 doors here if only one of them would open. That seems silly. Alright, let's get this thing open! But with... Oh wait, hang on. You found it! But with that, I think we're going to end this bonus episode here. See you guys in the next and final one.